They're currently reviewing a videotape or surveillance tape from Hector's place. There are agents looking at the videotape as we speak. I don't know how many hours it has or what the loop is or anything like that, but they are going through the tape now to see if they can find anybody who may have dropped that into that garbage can.
From your knowledge, were there any cell phones present in the bag?
There were not, from my knowledge. The initial investigation determined that there were not cell phones or electronic devices on that device.
When it exploded, how far out did the shrapnel go? I mean, what kind of area are we talking about? If people had been within the vicinity of it, who would have gotten hurt and in what distance?
I don't know clearly where we were, which was about 500 to 1,000 feet away. It didn't get anywhere near there. But then again, it was moved from the location where it was dropped by the two men to across the street in a safer area when they were trying to disarm.
Do you know if it was sandbagged at that point?
I do not.
Mr. Mayor, you talked to me about your concern. This was one of several devices inside this. From our vantage point back here, incredibly loud. It seemed like very powerful. And how concerned are you that something like this would have been left behind, not just one, but multiple devices?
Extremely concerned for the residents of the community, but more importantly, extremely concerned for everybody in the state and the country, where somebody can just go and drop a backpack into a garbage can that has multiple explosives in it with no timers, and then you have to wonder how many people could have been hurt. I don't have the expertise to determine the blast function of that, but based on the loudness, I think people could have been severely hurt or injured if they were in the vicinity when that went off.
Is there any concern that there might be other devices somewhere else in the neighborhood?
Well, we've done a secondary check in the area, and we have not found anything. I can tell you that tomorrow morning, when the garbage cans are getting picked up, there'll be due diligence, and there'll be a lot of effort put into being careful and finding out what you see and what you find.
Mayor, any decision about schools tomorrow or any other precautions?
I don't make a decision on schools. The superintendent of schools would make that, but as of this time, I believe schools will be open in the morning. But the superintendent will make that call tomorrow.
Just to recap about train service, you're saying this is going to take longer than you expected. We know that New Jersey Transit Service is shut down at the moment. Do you expect that will remain to be the case through the morning commute?
Well, New Jersey Transit is going to have to make that decision. I believe that if we can get these devices out of the area and secure, that the trains will be up and running at some point tomorrow or some point later today. I just don't exactly know what time that will be. New Jersey Transit will have to make the decision.
Is that the plan, though, to remove them and detonate them at another location?
I don't know. I believe that's the plan, is to get them out of this area. And then they would like to save them so they can find out what's in them. That's the challenge of the FBI and the state police. I don't have the jurisdiction over them.
Mr. Mayor, can you just give us some clarity with where these devices were, and if there were 5 of them together, what kind of damage they could have done to a crowd of people if they were in there?
Yeah, the backpack was found in a garbage can about 300 feet from the front door of Wally's Pub, which, if that pub was crowded and there was a lot of people there, it could have severely injured, maimed, or killed many, many people. No one was around, and it was discovered by 2 men who reported to police headquarters. I can imagine if all 5 of them went off at the same time, that the loss of life could have been tremendous if there was an event going on.
What time was that?
The phone call arrived at police headquarters at 8:47. So those gentlemen had to find it somewhat earlier. I would imagine between 8:15 and 8:30 they found it, and they walked it around the corner thinking there was something of value in it. When they realized it was too heavy and emptied it out, that's when they left the area and went to police headquarters.
What's your message to the person or people that left this?
The people who are doing this, they have no value on human life, and it's really difficult to understand their rationale. As someone who is a mayor who spends every day trying to look out for the welfare of their community and their citizens, and you see someone do something like this or some group do something like this, you have to wonder on the thoughtfulness of humanity and their perspective on the human life, which is in their minds a real negative. And as we spend all day trying to make it better, they spend all day trying to make it worse.
Would you ever have imagined Elizabeth, New Jersey as a target? I mean, when you think of potential terror targets, we think airports and major transportation hubs, stadiums, would you ever have imagined that Elizabeth would be at the center of this? And if not, what does that tell you about the mindset of whoever's behind this?
I'm not so sure Elizabeth was a target, and I'm not willing to say that Elizabeth was a target at this time. There's an investigation going on in New York and Sandy Hook, and it's very possible that someone could have been taking a train, could have been investigated and coming through this area and decided they needed to get rid of this backpack because they were being followed or because they were being investigated. So I'm not willing to admit that Elizabeth was a terror target. Because of the location of this, it is very possible that someone was trying to get rid of a package as opposed to setting it off.
And I know we spoke earlier about the 5 men who were arrested. Any updated information you have on that and their background possibly being connected?
I've spent the last few minutes with all of you, so I don't really have an update on that yet. I'm going to go back and try to get an update. I'm going to be here for a few more hours until the area is secure, and then I'll leave the meeting. I'll clearly come back if I find out more information. I'm sorry to move all of you back here, but that was a decision of them because of the explosion.
Mayor, was that explosion controlled? Was that planned?
It was not.
Okay.
That explosion happened when they were trying to disarm it.
Just to confirm, the lead agency here is the FBI?
Either the FBI or the state police, but the U.S. attorney's on board here too. There are representatives from every branch of government